This is the Monday Motor Minute brought to you by Engen X-treme.
Oh yes, your engine trouble comes from the crankshaft's harmonic resonance not syncing with the camshaft's pressure feedback loop, disrupting combustion. The ECU detects a slight flywheel imbalance, recalibrates the air-fuel mixture, and that misaligns the EGR valve, which disrupts intake airflow, causing exhaust back pressure. That's the little putt-putt sound. It's simple, really.
For an oil as professional as you are, use next-gen Engen X-treme. Extremely South African oil for South Africa's professionals.
South Africans can't get enough, it seems, of SUVs. Whether it's the school run, a family holiday, gravel roads, or just being higher in traffic, the SUVs have, in fact, become the default choice for many motorists. But with so many models on the market, and everybody claiming that theirs is the most capable, the most comfortable, the best value, how do we separate clever marketing from genuine performance? Well, that's exactly what Car Magazine's Engen X-treme SUV Challenge set out to do, putting some of South Africa's most popular SUVs through a series of demanding real-world tests, both on tar and off-road. To tell us what they discovered, we're joined by McLaren, who is the editorial director of Car Magazine. Ian, a very, very good morning and welcome. I hope you are well.
Hi, good morning to you and your listeners. Thanks for having me.
Great pleasure. So before we get into the winners, tell us about the challenge itself.
Every year we do a SUV shootout, and then each year we choose a different segment within the SUV category. So last year we did the compact SUV, so that'll be a vehicle like the Volkswagen T-Cross or the Toyota Corolla Cross. Mm-hmm. This year we chose the mid-size section, so that moves things up a notch to significantly the new Toyota RAV4, which launched the week that we did our shootout. So we were lucky enough to get one of those fresh from the launch. And that car obviously goes against cars like the Volkswagen Tiguan, the Hyundai Tucson, and things like that. And then obviously there's several Chinese brands that have targeted that mid-size SUV segment purely because of its popularity. So we had 14 cars in total, some legacy brands including Toyota and Volkswagen, and then obviously several Chinese contenders. So it made things particularly interesting.
Okay, so that's because I was going to ask you how cars are judged fairly, but that's how you do it, is you break it up into different categories. So in terms of, South Africans, as we know, love our SUVs, but what qualities are you looking for when you test them out?
So so it's important. We put a price cap of 800,000 rand on our SUV shootout this year. So we wanted to find out if you had a budget of 800,000 rand, which is the best SUV or family-sized SUV that you can purchase. And we put an emphasis on. We did a long road trip to Honeston, 2 days out, including a little bit of gravel driving. So not specifically off-road because we're not looking for the best 4x4, but a lot of families when they do weekends away will encounter a little bit of gravel. We took a pram with us, an average size pram, fold-up pram, to put in the boots of all the cars just to compare the size of the luggage space. We put a child seat in the back of the cars to compare the rear legroom. And then importantly, I think the Chinese brands are coming in with a lot of value propositions, so sunroofs, heated seats and things like that. Things that the South African consumer didn't think that they could get previously for that price point. So we wanted to unpack what is real value. So is real value a sunroof, heated seats and things, or is real value a vehicle or the legacy brands like Toyota, VW that have proven after-sale service, resale values and things like that. So that was, we broke down all of those categories to see which car offers the South African consumer currently the best value at that price point.
So in other words, and I really like this, it was about real-world driving and value. It wasn't about whether my SUV is going to spin on a 45-degree angle. So I actually think I think that's and that's what most of us actually want, is just to know which is the best value for money. So tell me what you found.
Well, look, it's certainly interesting. I think the legacy is what's interesting is the Toyota RAV4 that just launched. There's only two models of that RAV4 that are under 800,000 rand. So a car like the RAV4 and the VW Tiguan have gotten particularly expensive, but then they will counter with the fact that they have dealers in every city in the country, and they have proven quality and resale value. And then there's several Chinese contenders that come in way below that price point and offer you all sorts of bells and whistles, but perhaps don't have the legacy of resale value after sales. What happens if you need replacement parts and things like that? So we needed to break down, where each one goes. But I will say one thing: the Chinese brands have come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years in terms of quality. So a car like the BYD C-Line 6, which came in well below that price point, is very impressive in terms of its build quality, on-road comfort and things like that. Another car that surprised us was the Geely, the E5. So the Geely's another relatively new brand in the country, but very impressive in terms of build quality, perceived quality, space, and comfort. So it wasn't all smooth sailing for the legacy brands. Which is interesting to note. But yeah, it's certainly a wide open segment, and there's a lot of impressive vehicles in that segment. So yeah.
It probably is one of the most competitive segments, actually, if I think about it, because and again, I've noticed that a lot of my friends are in this type of a price range, a car type market, and it's really become a big thing about value, about where you get your best value, what's going to retain value, and aftermarket service. Those are some big
and
things.
Indeed, fuel consumption in South Africa. Fuel consumption is, well, globally it's a massive thing. But so what we didn't put a mandate on is what powertrain the vehicles use. So for the price point, you can get, for example, you get a lot of hybrids from the Chinese brands, so petrol hybrids. We had a turbo diesel car from Hyundai, the Hyundai Tucson, which obviously then gets you kind of 900 kilometers of range on a tank. We had the Volkswagen. Unfortunately, they seem to be waiting patiently for their 1.5 hybrid engine to arrive. So the Tiguan that we had the 1.4 TSI engine, which is proven and reliable, but in a vehicle the size of the Tiguan struggles a little bit to keep pace with some of the hybrids, and then the fuel consumption counts against it. So yeah, very interesting.
It really is. I wonder if anybody sees any value in a sunroof. I always think a sunroof is a very nice marketing thing, but when you get the car and you do have a sunroof, I just wonder if anyone ever uses it. What's your experience?
A sunroof, I don't see the value in a sunroof. I've driven so many cars with sunroofs that I never open. But I'll tell you a stat. Volkswagen at one point was selling Polos, and 70% of all Polos bought in South Africa, the owner optioned a sunroof. It's a big thing. And then when they brought out the T-Cross, that car can't have a sunroof on it for its packaging, and it made headlines. People were very upset with the fact that they couldn't get a sunroof in their T-Cross. I don't understand it myself, but
it's fascinating. So after putting all of these cars through the test, we don't have a lot of time, but I just have to ask you, which car stood out?
A vehicle, I must say, there's a lot of pressure on the price of diesel at the moment, but a turbo diesel like the Hyundai Tucson is still very impressive. I think it's proven technology. I can tell you that some of the legacy brands didn't have it their own way, and they didn't make the top three. The August issue of Car Magazine is where you're going to have to see which
I was wondering if you were going to do that. I was thinking if I were you, that's exactly what I would do, and say number 2 will really shock you. And then you leave it there because then everybody has to go and buy Car Magazine.
After the commercial break, yes. The August issue of Car Magazine will show you the result. It might surprise some people, the result.
Okay, that is absolutely fantastic. Ian McLaren, editorial director of Car Magazine. Go and get your Car Magazine, because if you want to find those results. So absolutely awesome. This was the Motor Minute, fueled by Engen X-treme.